All right.
What?
So, about this episode, trigger warnings.
Oh, yeah. You need one.
Absolutely. So, we are going to be talking about general violence and inciting violence. There's going to be a lot of homophobia, transphobia,
Hate speech of all kinds.
speech.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's they didn't
hmm
discriminate. Their hate did not discriminate. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Even the people in the Amazon forest that are literally doing nothing to
Literally, yeah.
them,
Like,
like
I'm
they
calling you Ferngully.
well, it's like one thing that drives me insane. It's like they don't even know who you are. Like, leave them alone. Like, you
Leave it alone.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this
So,
is a rough one. We talk about polarization and
hmm
cults, really, political
yeah, and
cults
then
again.
there's, misogyny and talk of rape as well. So, yeah.
Mm.
So be
Mhm.
warned.
And a lot of these, like, faces, like, a lot of
Yeah,
that too.
definitely.
I'm kinda grossed out by this
Absolutely.
guy.
I
But yeah,
fucking hate him. Yeah.
enjoy!
All right. Hello. Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. So, if you joined us last time, but we're staying on the political cult train. I don't know why I did that, but whatever. We're
It
staying
seems
on it. It seems right. But this time we're going down to Brazil. And if you've
Mhm,
been paying attention to the news, and our friends from the South, a lot has been happening in Brazil. It's
mhm.
bananas, literally, what's happening down there. But there's also a lot of parallels between what has happened in our politics of recent years. What is currently going on has a lot of tie ins with our politics and the current president here. And just how they handled things, I think we're gonna see some of that in the parallels between some of
We're
that.
gonna see so many similarities
So
here,
many. It's
y'all.
pretty crazy.
Oh my goodness.
But before we jump into that, we definitely want to back it up a little bit, and Amy's gonna give us kind of a recap on cults and like the definition we're kind of going by. Because
Mhm.
as we talked about before, cults can have tons of different definitions and be defined in all kinds of ways. Yeah, Amy's gonna let us know, like, the one that we're following true to for our political cult series.
Absolutely. What we have is a cult is a group characterized by a charismatic leader, unusual extreme beliefs, authoritarian structure, psychological control over members, isolation from the outside world. Key indicators include unquestioning faith in the leader, oppression of dissent, exploitation of the members for money or labor. While the term often carries negative connotations, is used pejoratively for groups with questionable practices. It can also refer to groups centered on a person, idea, philosophy, and seeks to control the members' lives, really. So I know that perhaps some of the ones that are more political, we don't see a lot of like really characteristics that are lining up. It's a little bit more vague. It's a little bit more subtle. And again, we talked about this in our last episode. This is looking from the outside, and for people who are in it, it's going to look a lot different. It's going to feel very normal. It's going to feel very safe, very comforting.
Yeah, so Brazil and what Brazil has going on. Is Brazil in the center of a political cult? I say yeah, and I actually say yeah on both sides for this.
Yes.
And it's kind of weird jumping off of the last episode, right? And now we're going into
Yeah.
this one, but we have two cults of personality on both sides of the spectrum.
hmm
The Brazil is like singularly like set up for this kind of thing. Okay. Okay. So if you look at Brazil and historically, politically, they're kind of primed for this to happen. And we know that because of the history, because dictators have taken office in Brazil over and over again, staged military coups, or somehow, maybe by force or otherwise, have tried to remain in that position of power.
Mhm.
So much that Brazil has had to rewrite its constitution quite a few times over the years. And the last one, the last federal constitution that Brazil wrote was in 1988. So that's how recent they've had to revamp their entire democracy based on someone going up to office and then not wanting to leave, essentially. So they have a long history of this happening, of people trying to gain offices of power within their system of government and just staying in power. And then, sorry, that's all messed up. So, and then staying in power. Now, so 1988 was the last time that they've revised their constitution, and they've been going off of that ever since. So to bring you up to where we're at today, they're considered a federal presidential constitutional republic based on representative democracy. And that's kind of the key of what makes them similar to our democracy, because we are based on representative democracy, whereas we elect officials to represent large swaths of our population to go up into, DC or government politics to represent our interests, right? So that's the representative democracy. And Brazil follows very similarly to our system, the way that we do it. So they have the three branches. They have the federal branch, the judicial branch, and the executive branch, just like we do. They vote. They have free and fair elections, and they vote and they elect their president. Now their president has the executive power, but he also has all of the administrative power. So the president in Brazil in particular has there's quite a bit more that they oversee than maybe ours, but how they come into office is very similar to how we do it, by electing officials and then them going and taking the presidential seat.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I thought was really interesting was that they have to vote.
Yeah,
You don't get a choice. You're fucking voting there. Which here, if you want to, you can. You don't have to. But
yeah,
there,
exactly.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't
would
know.
that be horrible here?
Ideas
I don't
about what
know.
um, I don't think it's fair that some kids that get jobs at like 15, 16, 17 in our country don't get to vote. It's like
Yeah.
they're paying into Social Security. Policies are affecting their paycheck, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I have different views on voting regulations, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Being forced to vote, I'm not sure how I would feel about that. How would you feel about that?
I don't know. I have a
Or if it
feeling
was
that
a
it would just
standard, everyone had to.
yeah, if it was a standard that I feel like everyone would vote, I feel like the people who were being forced, they would just fucking put whatever they want. They'd just be
They wanted, yeah,
push
I definitely
they'd be
think so too.
pushing the fucking buttons like all of
A,
them, you
B,
know?
C, whatever.
Yeah.
Just everybody's getting voted for on there. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows if
So,
it would fucking be,
yeah, no,
good or
I
not. I don't
agree.
know.
Yeah.
Fucking
So
Americans, man.
I know. So Brazil is similar though in a lot of ways in the way that they represent their citizens or population, and they're also similar in the way that they get elected, but there is a big difference between us and Brazil to me, and that is probably due to the fact that they have had so many dictatorships over the years, and they have had so many people stage military coups to take over that seat, is they have their very own committee within their government who, if you try to stage a coup, you have to go see these judges over here about it. They have a specialized committee that oversees this. So if
Yeah.
somebody tries to um let's say, trudge up their numbers in electoral votes, like let's say they tweak the machine somehow down there and that's caught, this committee would oversee that. If they try to stage a coup, this committee would oversee that. So because unfortunately they've had to deal with this so much, they do have this specialized committee within government of keeping an eye out for these things. They do. So they have safeguarded themselves in ways because of their history, but aside from that, I would say it does fall pretty closely, like their democracy and their politics follows pretty closely to how we do here.
Mhm.
Now, currently, there are over 30 active political parties in Brazil, but
Yeah, that's what I was
the
thinking. There's a
there's a
lot.
lot. Now, there are 3 major parties that I think numbers-wise, statistically, most people fall into these 3
Mhm.
categories, and that's the MBD, or the Brazilian Democratic Movement, which is 14.4% from what I saw. There's PT, or the Workers' Party, with 9.5%, and the PSDB, or the Brazilian Social Democracy Party, with 8.7%. And then
Mhm.
everyone else, I'm going to assume, falls somewhere under those other 27 political parties or unaffiliated, you know? So
Yeah,
that is the difference. Those 3 are the ones that most people, though, in Brazil are voting towards.
yeah,
So the president is elected in the same, similarly to how we do it, and like I said, is responsible for executive and on all federal duties, including administrative duties. Now, the other thing a little bit different is the term limits and things. So
that's right,
presidents
yeah.
in right, so presidents in Brazil, let's see. So, president where did it go? Oh my god. Okay, the president can run for re-election consecutively 1 time, right?
Yeah.
Now, after that, they can only do that once, but technically, presidents in Brazil, as long as they skip a term, they can keep running forever.
Mhm.
We don't have like the term limits in the same way for presidency as they do. They essentially don't, except for that one caveat that you can only run consecutively once.
Mhm.
And then the current president is Luiz Inácio. Let me say that again. My thing keeps jumping around. Sorry. So the current president is Luiz Inácio da Silva, or he's affectionately known as Lula down there.
Mhm.
He's he represents the Workers' Party. And if I'm going to compare it to our American politics, I would say the Workers' Party is similar to the Democratic Party here in the States, or the
Yeah.
left party here in the States. If we're going to compare, I would say they line up kind of similarly.
Mhm.
Before Lula he's a sitting president right now. Before him was
Mhm.
Jair Bolsonaro, and he was part of the PL, or the Liberal Party. And that is more akin to what you would consider in the States as the Republican Conservative Party, or the right. Okay. And
Mhm.
so on one side we have Lula, and he's the current president, and like I said, he represents a party that would be more similar to left leaning or Democratic. And then
Mhm.
previous President Bolsonaro, or Jair, we'll call him, I guess, he
Mhm.
was more conservative, or what we would consider more conservative, or like right or Republican in this country. And he
Yeah.
represented those interests. And those are the 2 presidents that we're speaking on today. And in the different ways that they do have their own cults of personality around them, and for different reasons. So, before we get too much into them individually, Amy, do you want to give some backstory about their politics and kind of how their parties came to be for them, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. So back in 1980 in Sao Paulo, so Brazil was emerging from a military dictatorship, and the workers were demanding a stronger voice, and they wanted to be represented. So out of this whole energy, and there was a union leader, and his name was Inácio Lula da Silva. So we called him Lula. That's what he likes to be called. Yeah, so through the 80s and the 90s, Lula ran for president 3 times. So in 89, 94, and then in 98. So he came really, really close, but he did not win. Later on, I'll try and get your opinion on this. So
Uh,
I feel like when he did eventually win, it seems like he tried to win by kind of going against some of the things that he was running for. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So,
Yeah,
um,
I agree.
yeah, okay. I'm glad
Yeah,
you
I
agree
agree.
because, like, through the research, I was like, so you're teaming up with these people whenever
Yeah,
you were talking. Anyways, so yeah, I'll
yeah, I
continue,
agree.
but we'll
Yeah.
go more on into that. So in 2002, he ran for president and he was elected. He took his first presidency office January 1st, 2003. During his first 2 term limits, so he went from 2003 to 2010, and Brazil saw major social programs like Bolsa de Familia, which lifted millions out of poverty, and it earned Lula international praise. But in 2005, the PT party was rocked by a scandal. So, vote buying scheme in Congress, and Lula survived politically, but he left office in 2010. But he still had very, very high approval ratings, so surprisingly.
Mhm.
Well, not surprisingly, actually.
Yeah. When you consider that he's at the tippy top of his little group, I mean, not really.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and we have experienced the same. So, yeah. So his successor was Dilma Rousseff, and she was also from the PT party, and she won election in 2010 and 2014. Her presidency was battered with massive corruption as well. There was
Mhm.
a car wash scandal,
Yeah.
which I actually didn't write a whole bunch about. So I wish I knew a little bit more about it, but I knew that there's something involving investigating kickbacks to a state oil company. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
That's
the basis of the
essentially what it
scandal.
was.
Yeah.
And they were the car wash was the I think if I can cut in, the car wash was the
Hmm.
name of them busting them. It was like Project Car Wash.
Got
But
it.
then you find out that they did own a lot of car washes that could have been used as, shell accounts for
Interesting.
maybe laundering and things like that. Yeah. Washing, car wash, makes sense. So, anyway, so
Yeah, so it implicated politicians across all the parties, really, including PT members. So in 2016, Rousseff was impeached, removed from office. And gee golly, what would it be like in America if people actually got held to standards and freaking kicked out whenever
I'm telling
they
you, it's that
freaking do
committee.
something
It's that
wrong?
committee,
Like,
I'm telling you.
we need that.
We need
And it
that
needs to
committee,
be
period.
they're not on any team, like, they're not Democrat, they're not
Right.
Republican, like, we just need, like,
A
somebody
committee.
who's, like, 100% neutral, like, all of the people who could literally care less about government, like, yeah,
Right. Like,
have
if
them be the committee,
Brazil
take
has had
turns, I don't know.
right. Brazil has had to go through one dictatorship after another, after another, after another, and then they were like, "Hey, guys, this is a problem, and this is also a lot of power to have, so we can't let that get a little wishy-washy," you know what I mean? Let's
Mhm.
set this group up, they'll keep an eye on things. Like,
Yeah.
nobody should have to go through even one dictatorship for that to
Mhm.
happen, I don't think, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's awesome. She was removed from office, and so in 2016, she was impeached, removed from office. So it was a turning point for the party. And then another dramatic chapter, Lula himself was convicted on corruption charges in 2017, and he was imprisoned in 2018 and barred from running for president, but just that year. Supporters called it political persecution. Critics called it accountability. Well, legal appeals continued. November 2019, Lula was released and he was completely exonerated. So 2021, Brazil's Supreme Court annulled key convictions, clearing the pathway for a comeback. So yeah, and he comes back.
Mhm.
2022, Lula defeated incumbent Jair Bolsonaro, reclaimed his presidency, became the third term. So this began his third term in January 1st, 2023. So he was focusing on Amazon deforestation, indigenous rights, reviving Brazil's global diplomacy. 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 Can't say words.
You said
So,
that word. Girl, you said that word just fine. You
hell
said it
yeah,
great.
I do know things
You
sometimes.
know things,
Okay.
girl, you know.
So as of now, Lula remains in office and he's pursuing climate and trade initiatives. Yeah, so that is what I have for the Workers' Party.
Background, yeah.
Absolutely. So going into the Social Liberty Party. So let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Okay, this one's messy.
Okay, yeah, can we put just 1 second? Let's say this. So Lula and the Lula camp, we'll call it the Lula camp,
Sounds good. Yeah.
they have they have plenty of corruption. They have plenty of dirty deeds done dirt cheap, if you will. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah. Now, this other duder, Bolsonaro, he's a whole
He is.
nother beast. He's a whole
Yeah.
nother beast. We're not saying one is worse than the other, one's less bad. They're both not good. But go ahead. Yeah, he's
This
bad.
one takes the cake for real.
He does.
Okay.
He does. Yeah.
So Bolsonaro spent nearly three decades in Congress starting in 1991. He was known for hardline conservative rhetoric, rose to national prominence during a period of frustration, corruption, scandals, economic stagnation. So in 2018, running with the Social Liberty Party, Bolsonaro won the presidency in a runoff election. His campaign harnessed social media encrypted messages like WhatsApp to spread his outsider messages, promises of law and order. So once he was in office in 19, Bolsonaro pursued pro-gun policies and environmental regulations, clashed with global leaders over rising Amazon deforestation.
Yeah,
One of the
he want
big, yeah,
it's like somebody make him watch Fern Gully. Please.
oh my
Anybody.
God,
Put
yeah,
Fern Gully on for this man. Please. Please.
it would be a global catastrophe without the rainforest in Brazil.
Of course. Of
My
course.
God,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But
it
anyway,
really is.
sorry. I don't
So
know.
his handling of the COVID pandemic was a huge, huge
100%.
issue. So he makes Trump look like did pretty good job. So he
Yeah.
downplayed the severity like big time, resisting lockdowns and, sparked international criticism because of it. In 2022, he seeks re-election but narrowly loses to Lula. And rather than a peaceful transition, many of his supporters claimed without evidence that the vote was rigged. Sounds
Yep.
familiar. Okay,
Sure
so
does.
there's another thing that I wanted to pipe in also. Guess
Okay.
where he went right before that happened?
Is it Florida?
It's Florida
It's
with his buddy
Florida. Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
Mar-a-Lago.
BFFs.
And yeah, so right after that happens, crazy, right? January 8th, 2023, thousands of Bolsonaro supporters stormed Brazil's Congress Supreme Court presidential palace in Brasilia, vandalizing government buildings. Hundreds were arrested. So yeah, legal pressure on Bolsonaro mounted by September 2025. Brazil's Supreme Court convicted him of plotting a coup after his 2022 defeat, sentencing him to 27 years and 3 months in prison. And he is
Yep.
currently under house arrest
Yeah,
in
he's
prison.
under house
So,
arrest.
yeah, he's under house arrest, but he is locked up. But that is what I have. And that is really just the tip
That's just a
of
little bit.
all the
I
shit
have,
that he said
yeah.
and done.
Oh, dude, I know. Oh,
That
I
is my
know.
summarization of what we're basically talking about today. It's a little
Ugh.
summary, but we will get into a little bit more. But I do want to go back to when so Lula was coming about because he was like a man of the people. He was really
Yeah.
getting them like, I'm going to be there for you and this and that. And then he chooses conservative from the other side as his running mate for his first
Yeah.
presidential election. And
Yep.
that is how he actually secures the presidency is
Yeah.
by so
Baby
kind of
switch.
going, yeah, like
Baby
kind
switch
of
him up.
like he's telling these people like, hey, I'm here for you. We're going to work on this together. And then he is trying to get as much attention and as much votes as possible. And he
Mm-hmm.
gets, someone from the other side to join his team, which
Yeah.
I think that it could be a good thing. Like, if we were to imagine
Make
that
it more
here.
bipartisan in a way,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe.
maybe that wouldn't be a bad idea. Like, okay, let's say president is Democratic, and it's like, okay, but you have to pick a Republican as your running mate. You know what I mean? Or if you're a
Yeah.
Republican and you're running for president, you have to pick like a Democrat as your running
Mhm.
mate. I mean, maybe to keep things bipartisan, that might not be a bad idea, actually. But
Yeah.
this was not a time where people were thinking of in those alleys, I don't think, about
Yeah.
bipartisan. They were just coming out off of their umpteenth, takeover from somebody,
Mm.
so I don't think they were thinking on those terms.
Yeah, I'm just kinda curious how they felt seeing that. It's like we have this guy that we feel like this guy has our back, and then he gets somebody on their team that is pretty much against everything that he's running
Sure,
for. So,
sure.
I don't know. We weren't there, we don't know, but,
Right.
like, I feel like there's probably some people that felt like he's selling out.
Slighted?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
felt slighted
I
for
think
sure.
so. Now, I've got a couple of chunks of stuff, tying them into, like, a little cult behavior a little
Yeah.
bit, okay? So I'm gonna jump into it with Lula first. I'm gonna start with Lula, the current president of Brazil, sitting president of
Mhm.
Brazil. So Amy talked about it earlier. I mean, he's currently the president in spite of having a presidential corruption conviction. Because like she said, he inflated Brazil public contracts to pay back bribes. He was tied
Mhm.
up into the election scandal. And people still really latch on to him. So much so that and most or a lot of his followers think that he has transcended their party, like,
Mhm.
they're voting for Lula. They're not voting for the policies or the party backing it. And that
Yeah.
becomes, I mean, that's a cult of personality. We can close the book on that.
Yeah.
It's the definition. But even more so, we got a little bit more. Early on, one of his big supporters was actually Fidel Castro,
Mhm.
one of Lula's big backers. And then he has, like, you talked about, like, he was every man's man, right? So
Yeah.
Lula has a real strong rags to riches story. And
Mhm.
that sits heavy in the hearts of a lot of the people in Brazil. But he's gone on even further, especially since his conviction for the corruption charge. He has compared himself to Gandhi, to Martin Luther King Jr., and he has made claims that elite politicians are after him. And these are all public claims that he's made. And he's also comparing himself to figures who have been politically demonized or been political prisoners in some way. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
he puts that out there. He does that on his own self. And then even further during his campaign, a lot of the rhetoric was very heavy. It was like the poor us versus the elite them.
Yeah.
So it's still following the us versus them, let's divide these people rhetoric that we've
Mhm.
seen, in a lot of ways. He has attacked the media that have called him corrupt. Even after the conviction, he still would go on to attack media, which is, don't attack the media. There are pinnacles of information, right? So free media,
Absolutely.
free press. So that's kind of a red flag that you've got a culty dude around.
Mhm.
So he had various meetings with social media influencers as well to help him counter the corruption image. So he was also working behind the scenes to counter any kind of bad look for him so that his supporters could keep believing what he's putting out there.
Yeah.
And just I told you about how he's kind of outgrown his political party. That's according to a lot of his followers, that he has outgrown it. Brazilians have said that they will vote for him, even though they do not support his policies or the party that he runs with. They've still claimed that they will vote for him. And
Mhm.
then also many of his followers his followers refer to his return to politics as as a messianic resurrection. So they
Mm,
see it as like the second coming of Lula instead of like the second coming of Christ.
yeah.
So and he kind of carries that. A lot of his followers kind of see him in a messiah kind of light, in this guy who keeps getting hit with these struggles and keeps standing on his own 2 feet and overcoming adversity, political or otherwise. Now, he has been last but not least, because this is kind of the first thing you look at, he himself has been cited as being one of the best political public speakers of our day. And they cite him as being very charismatic. Those are things that they say about him over and over again in many publications, and a
Mhm,
lot of publications, even ones that are against his policies, will say like, but he is a hell of a speaker. He's a
mhm.
hell of a speaker. So yeah, a lot of red flags there. And do I think it's a cult of personality? I mean, yeah, his own believers do. They've even said so. We'll vote for him even if we don't believe in what he believes in. So
Yeah.
there's that side of it. So yeah, I mean that's what I got on a little bit on Lula. I have a lot on Jair Bolsonaro too, but that's where I'm gonna stop it at Lula's for now.
Yeah, I feel like for his side, what I'm really not seeing much of is like the brainwashing as
Mhm.
opposed to the other side, you know?
Yeah.
So trying to match this side up, like I feel like Bolsonaro's side kind of checks a lot more boxes
Sure.
than Lula's
100%.
side.
Yeah.
So whenever we are talking about like political cults, like maybe some of them don't really line up, but I feel like there's enough for us to bring up this information and you can agree or you cannot agree.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to be having our lives every other week so that you guys can come in and hopefully we'll have some people that have lived there and been through this and have experienced some stuff and
Sure.
come talk to us about it. And
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, it's still happening right now. Just
Sure.
that's why, like,
I
the
mean,
information that we're going over is so appealing, is because this stuff is happening right now.
right now.
And yeah,
Yeah, and with
it's very
Lula,
interesting.
I mean, with Lula, he may not be destructive in some ways. I mean, economically, I think that there were times where he hurt the Brazilian people of Brazil, you know, economically because of obvious, any political corruption's political corruption, and the public will get hurt by it. It'll trickle down to that.
Absolutely.
Um, but even after his corruption, him being the current president kind of tells me everything I need to know about
Yeah,
whether it's a cult or not. Like if he's done something wrong in the eyes of the populace and the populace sees past it, I mean, that's brainwashing evidence in itself.
absolutely.
So maybe we don't have evidence that he actively brainwashes, but is there evidence that there's some form of brainwashing happening down there with some of his followers? I would say, yeah. I would say so.
Probably. Yeah. As far as like my research goes, I didn't find like a huge amount, but I feel like, oh, of course, I lost my thought. That's what
I'll
happens when
wait
you get
until you
old.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's gone. It's gone forever
It's okay.
so
I
far.
can jump
And I
over
was
to
like,
Bolsonaro if you want.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sounds good. I mean, this one, phew,
Oh yeah. And I'm just connecting to cult stuff and then I'm out and then I'm done with my bit on that. So, yeah. So Bolsonaro, the other one, the other
mhm,
side of the tracks if you will, he is
yeah,
not currently president. He is currently under house arrest like Amy said,
mhm,
facing 27 years for staging a military coup to stay in power.
uh,
But yeah, some things I found out about Bolsonaro that could connect him back to cult-like behaviors, if you will. First things first, his middle name translates to Messiah. That's number one, and right
yeah.
out the gate. So his name is Jair. Whatever, I don't know what it is. I can't think of it now. We'll cut that part out.
Sounds good.
So his middle name translates to Messiah. That's number one. So the other thing is Jair Bolsonaro, he grew up in a time of a military dictatorship. Like he grew up during that time. So as far as behavior and impressions go on a young man, was the world around him. Brazil at the time was under a military dictatorship when he was growing up. Now, during his time serving in the army, he made sketches with plans to bomb military complexes in Brazil and was found guilty. He was upset with the current state of the military and as his reasoning. So that's why he said he was just really upset with how the military was going. So he drew sketches to plans to bomb military complexes. His superiors throughout this course of, investigations, his superiors claimed that he had a, quote, serious personality deviation and a professional deformation. Uh, yeah, they
Damn.
said that about him. Now, so to skirt the consequences of his what he did in the military by planning to bomb things, he joined politics. So
Perfect.
that's where he gets into politics. Now, as Amy said, he had a long history in politics. I mean, he was a member of Congress, a federal deputy, right? Member of Congress since 1990, I believe, right? Until his election as president. Now, during his time in Congress, he put forth one constitutional amendment and 171 bills that he tried to get passed. So he was persistent about things,
Yeah.
if anything. He always claimed that it was the lefts that were blocking his bills every time, no matter what the bills were. Even if he didn't have people agreeing with him on his own side, he would always claim that it was the lefts that were blocking his bills
Yep.
during his time in Congress. Yeah.
Those damn dirty libs.
Those damn dirty libs. Yeah. So, and then basically he followed a lot of the same, suit as what we saw here. Like there was a lot of us versus them when he was running for president. There was a lot of rhetoric about, people wanting to kind of in a way emasculate Brazil and put it, down further. And it's other people doing this to Brazil and it's, them against us. Where did I go? Oh, yeah, yeah. My favorite bit of this is that Bolsonaro in 2020, he actually received, did you see this? The Person of the Year award? Okay. So in 2020, Bolsonaro, he received the Person of the Year award from the OCCRP, which is the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, for doing the most in the world to advance organized criminal activity and corruption. He got the award that year for that when he was in office.
Wow.
Thought that was very interesting. I came across that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Like, he got handed an award. Do you think he was proud of that award? Do you think that award sits somewhere
Oh
on
my
his
gosh.
shelf?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's like, this is me, babies. I was almost Darth Vader. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was
Can you
well on my
imagine, like,
way.
it's on his coffee table, and then he puts
Yeah,
his feet up on his coffee table, so his ankle
exactly.
monitor is right there next to his little
Exactly.
crime,
Yep.
statue, whatever the heck it is.
Takes a
Yeah.
picture, sends it into like his little villain powwow group with the North Korean guy and then sorry, okay. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, you kind of already covered it about like him going after the Amazon and wanting to deregulate all of the regulations in place to protect the Amazon, and he wanted to just take it away, start cutting down again. He got stabbed at one point
Yeah, I
during
saw that, like, actually happen in a video. That was
Yeah, me
fucked
too.
up.
So he got
That
stabbed,
was
and
fucked up.
that only though further kind of pushed him to his followers in their eyes. Like, he remember machismo in Brazil
It's
they're
everything.
hand in hand, and so that I mean he became everything then after that stabbing.
Yeah.
Like he was, toughest guy around, so they of course wanted him to lead.
Mhm.
Because I've seen a lot of different reports where they're like, the machismo in Brazil is still very, very prevalent there. Like, strong men and the men being strong is still very prevalent in Brazil. It's very part
Yeah.
of their culture. So I'm sure that only did to bolster his ratings.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, basically he just kept going. He wanted traditional family values back in Brazil. He said Brazil, he was quoted saying, Brazil above everything, God above everyone, smaller government and government cuts without details, sweeping tax cuts. He also threatened to arrest, purge, torture, and kill political rivals. That happened.
Yeah.
So he said, well, he threatened to arrest, purge, torture, and kill political rivals. And he says that if they don't abide by the rules, they will be treated as terrorists and banned. This he came out of his mouth publicly. Like, you can go look this
Yeah.
up. But yeah, and I just wrote down, like, he became more popular due to a culture of machismo that's still very prevalent there. And that's what I kept reading. I kept seeing. They were like, a lot of people vote on him because he was a tough guy. He was a tough guy that could get them through, a flailing Brazil through whatever they needed to get through. And he saw it and he grabbed it and he ran with that. He said,
Mhm.
"Okay, Brazil's weak, then let me fix it. Let me be the tough guy and fix it."
Yeah, yeah, I did. And the one of the things that even if some of the people didn't really like that part, the other part was drawn to his religious aspects. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I know that he was a very devout Catholic and then
Yeah.
ended up baptizing into evangelical Christian. And so I believe his wife was an evangelical Christian, and so he eventually joined her, and that section of Christianity was really growing at that time.
Okay.
And I'm not in it. I'm not part of any of that little
That's all right.
club, and I never really have believed in anything that I can't see with my own two eyes, and it's really hard for me to understand, really. But the amount of people that think because they believe something that other people should also have to do what
So, yeah.
they believe, like, it's really insane, and so it seems like for the evangelical Christian side that it's not just so much that they believe, they feel like others should believe what
Mhm.
they believe, whether they want to or not,
Yeah.
and that's it's just really, really crazy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people were supporting him because he projected this like righteous Christian
Yep.
values and,
And don't forget, he's got that
family.
middle name,
Yeah.
Messiah.
Yeah,
He got that working
absolutely.
for him.
And he seems like he promotes like, strong families and this and that, but then he says the most evil, vile shit
Yeah, he really
I have
does.
seen.
Wait,
I
you
mean,
have a lot of this,
I
don't you?
have the list.
Can we?
It's fucking awful. Let's
Like,
start off yeah, let's
just,
start
like, take
real
2.
strong. Huh?
Yeah. I was like, you could just take 2 out of it if you want.
Oh my god. So the first section that I have is on women, okay? So the
Oh
list that I have
god.
is called Crazy Shit That Bolsonaro Has Said. In 2014, in exchange with a congresswoman,
Oh,
Maria
yeah.
de
I
Rosario,
know where this is going, yeah.
Bolsonaro said, "I wouldn't rape you because you don't deserve it."
Yeah.
And whenever somebody asks him later, he digs down and he's like, "No, I fucking said what I said." All
Yeah, he
right.
doubled down on that. He said, "Yeah, damn right I said what I said,
He
and I'll
says
say it
later,
again."
he reiterates the comment in a newspaper interview stating, "She was not worth raping. She is very ugly."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Next one, he has also said that he would not pay women the same salary as men because of maternity leave. Cool.
yeah.
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 Real family man there. Yeah.
Sure is.
Okay.
Go go.
2017, after having 4 sons, he described the birth of his daughter as a moment of weakness.
Yeah, he sure did. He said that. I remember reading that. That was a bummer for her. That's a bummer for her.
Fuck him. Like,
Fuck him. Yeah, we can say it. Fuck him.
I mean, yeah,
Poor
it's
girl.
fucking
I feel bad
horrific.
for her.
So he also made it one of his missions to further intensify the hatred towards anyone who is gay or trans
Yeah, of
or
course. I mean,
non-binary. And so in 2011 interview, he said he would rather have a son die in an accident than be gay.
yeah.
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
has also said he would be incapable of loving a homosexual son, and he was proud to be homophobic. So,
Yeah.
yeah, great.
Mm,
He described Brazil as having families and not being a country of the gay world, of gay tourism in 2019.
yeah.
Fuck.
Mm-mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, let's clean the palate after that. That's nasty.
For real. So on race, he once
Oh
referred to
God.
people in an Afro-Brazilian settlement as not even good for procreation, using an outdated weight-based unit for cattle to describe them. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
A, a Brazilian federal court ordered Bolsonaro in September of 2025 to pay damages for racist comments he made in 2021 to a black supporter telling him his hair was a cockroach breeding ground. Yeah.
Ew. He sucks.
I fucking hate him.
Yeah, I hate him too. Honestly, I do. I don't like him. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
He's just sucks.
He has repeatedly attacked and made offensive remarks about indigenous people and their land right,
Yeah.
which fucking
Mm-mm.
kidding me. I mean, the last people that I would want to piss off would be the people with the fucking evil spirits that are protecting them and their lands. And you fucking kidding me?
Mm-mm.
No, leave them
No.
alone.
Leave him
Let them be
alone.
in their forest.
Mm-hmm.
They're taking care of the forests, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Leave them alone or else they're gonna hex you, okay? I mean, the fucker's in prison right now, so anyways.
Maybe,
Um,
hey,
I fucking
maybe
hope
it's
so.
the people of the forest answered the
Yeah,
call and they got him into prison.
yeah. So he has often praised Brazil's military dictatorship.
Yeah.
So from 1964 to 85, and he has stated that the regime's mistake was to torture but not to kill. So yeah. In a
Yeah.
1999 interview, he advocated for a coup, stating it would allow the military to do the job that the military regime didn't do, killing 30,000. Oh, God. And in a 1999 television appearance, he explicitly stated, I'm in favor of torture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
the last little section I have is on the COVID-19
yeah.
pandemic.
And how he handled it
Early
or
in
mishandled it,
Yeah.
I should say.
Early in the pandemic, he referred to COVID as a little flu
Yeah.
and opposed social distancing measures.
Yeah.
When asked about the mounting death toll in April of 2020, he famously replied, I'm not a gravedigger.
Yeah. I mean, he
Oh,
isn't.
true, but
He
I
isn't,
mean,
okay? Everybody just needs to understand that this is fucking crazy. That people
yeah,
like this could climb all the way up to a place like that and have that much power.
yeah, yeah,
With this extreme of views and this I mean, really violent of views, I would say, at the very least aggressive, you know? Yeah.
yeah. And so he also promoted unproven treatments and refused to get vaccinated. And then Bolsonaro has repeatedly undermined Brazil's democratic institutions. So he's made unsubstantiated claims of fraud in Brazil's electronic voting systems after
Mhm.
losing in 2022 election. And then in September of 2025, Brazil's Supreme Court found him guilty of attempting to stage a coup and remain in power. That's what I
Good for
have
you,
on that
Brazil.
motherfucker.
Good for you,
Yeah,
Brazil.
that
That was
really
a
was a
lot.
lot. Um,
Yeah,
Jesus.
we'll face that. So, yeah, that's a lot. He sucks. I mean, I don't know what else to say except he sucks, you know? And like,
Yeah.
but also good on Brazil. Like, good for
Mhm.
you for taking care of business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, kind of gonna go into like where Brazil is at today and like what could maybe hope for the future. I'm not sure. So, currently, Brazil trying to rebuild under President Lula. It's still a very polarized country. I mean, people are still very much split, half and half, of people that supported Bolsonaro and people that support Lula. So because of the polarization, they're still reporting political crimes related to politics over there. They're still reporting crimes related to what happened with Bolsonaro and him getting convicted and him going to, or now being on house arrest. I mean, crimes are still being reported, even though has been convicted and Lula is in office. And I can't help but think it's because they're two polarizing figures. And until both of them are away, they're going to continue to polarize that country, you know? So but they're trying to rebuild since the coup, since that happened. And obviously, everyone I think is still trying to rebuild after COVID and the
Yeah.
mishandling of that across the board. But now they were just recently slapped with a 50% tariff from our country. So,
Mhm.
and it's also, so you know, it's a retaliatory tariff. It was actually written in the letter that the reason that for the 50% tariff was because Bolsonaro is in jail essentially, and that it's
Yeah.
a witch hunt. So now Lula is having to face retaliation based on the last leader from our own president. There have been 36 losses of life since 2022 of politically affiliated figures in Brazil. There's also been
Wow.
558 reported political violence cases in 2024, and that was up from 214 in 2020. So when I say it's still currently, they're still facing this, they still are. I mean,
Yeah.
um, you already said it. Bolsonaro is facing 27 years and what was it, 4 months?
3 months, I think.
3 months?
Yeah. Mhm.
So Bolsonaro is facing time for his staging a military coup to stay in power, but Lula has a big job on his hands because he is part of a two-part polarizing kind of situation in Brazil. I don't know what else to say.
Mhm.
And the other guy's in jail or you know, being whatever, he's being detained somehow. And now Lula has to clean up all of this mess with what he knows for sure half of the country not supporting him. You
Yeah.
know? So unfortunately, Brazil, you know, this is what I wrote for Hope for Brazil. So unfortunately, Brazil has had a long history with authoritarian minded folks seeking the highest seat of power. But because of this, they have a system in place to punish those that would abuse its democracy, as we see with Bolsonaro. Our hope is that the living memory of a dictatorship will distance someday,
Mhm.
and that the people of Brazil will leave behind what that kind of conditioning can do to a society or a government. So on one hand, it has allowed systems to be put in place to safeguard, but on the other hand, it has conditioned some Brazilians into believing that they need to be led in a totalitarian way to prosper and to find peace. And at
Yeah.
great costs. I mean, at lots of losses of life. Obviously, the coup on January 8th in Brazil was, you know, bad. A lot of people got hurt. There was a lot of property destruction across their nation's monuments, you know,
Yeah.
which is sad to see and further polarizing. So, yeah, it's a cost of lives, it's economic hardships, and it's the loss of freedoms. So, I think we as Americans, we could take a few notes about how Brazil kind of handles some things.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
either way, I think we're just hope that we can all distance ourselves, Brazil for them, us for what we're going through, away from the polarization, away from the January 6th and the January 8th and things like that, and these
Mhm.
events that have stuck with us and that will be kind of, you know, pressed into our memory for probably our whole lives, really. I mean, we're living in history right now that's happening. And so I guess I hope that for us and for them, that one day we can see past this point and be rid of all of the polarizing figures, you
Yeah,
know? Because they all suck.
absolutely.
At the end of the day, they're not all looking out for us. They're not looking out for
Yeah.
them. you know?
If anybody is trying to get you to hate your neighbor,
Yeah.
they're not they're
There's a
not a good
problem.
person.
That's
They're
right.
a huge problem. And I mean,
Yeah.
Trump's famously said that like I hate my enemies.
Yeah.
And then like also Bolsonaro, he has incited people to go get guns and
Yeah.
shoot people.
Yeah.
Like he loosened the gun laws and made it
Yep.
more accessible. I
Right.
mean, I come from a state where it's very important to have the right to bear arms and protect yourself. And I'm very much an advocate of that for a political figure to tell people. That's telling, like, you're not telling sane people. Like
Yeah.
the sane ones are gonna be like, "Oh God," you know? But the ones that just needed that one little push,
They're
you're
gonna take
fucking
it.
doing it. Yeah, they're fucking
Exactly.
doing it, and it's horrific. Like,
Yeah.
I I know that we have been kind of bouncing all around about the lining this up with a cult, but I feel like it's very similar to what we are experiencing
Oh,
in our
yeah.
own country. And
That's how I
I
feel.
feel like this one is, I mean, from top to bottom, I was surprised.
Right.
I was
Were
surprised
you?
going through this one. I was like, "What the" well, because I mean, I'm very much, like, shut out, and this is also another
Sure.
thing I wanna talk about.
Yeah.
We were going over in the last episode how very different our research is. The stuff that you found on Lula, I didn't find that.
No. No.
No. Our
No.
algorithms are so fucking
Different.
so different that I found a shit ton on Bolsonaro, but I did not find what you found on Lula,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very interesting.
So because I do understand somewhat my search history or like my algorithm, I can kind of guess of what it's gonna take me to, because like of how I search or whatever. I had to put in bad stuff about Lula. I had to really write in like Lula corruption,
Yeah,
Lula hurt somebody. Like I had to make stuff up. Not that I made stuff up for this, but like in my
yeah,
search to look up for stuff because my algorithm is going to side with more of Lula side. I mean, it will. It's gonna make Lula
mhm,
look like a saint, and it's gonna try to make Bolsonaro look like a complete monster. Not that I didn't see that. I did see that,
yeah,
but I knew enough. I know enough about my algorithm to know that it was going to keep that from me.
mm,
So I had to purposely go in and be like, what is the worst thing that Lula ever said? And then I had to like
yeah,
do my research from those resources because
mhm,
it wasn't just available easily, and
yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I don't know. It's fucking weird. It really is.
I think it's a very interesting, if anything, this alone is an interesting case of
It
how
really
we
is.
find research come together and we're like, "Wait a minute, did you know about this? No, did you know about this?" And they
Mhm,
both seem like very big keys,
yeah,
but because of our general search history, it just won't pop up for us or you or me or whoever.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, so closing it out,
Yeah.
Brazil's political story over the past 40 years is one of deep polarization and a left-wing party born from labor unions and return to power after scandal, imprisonment, and then a
Yeah.
right-wing movement that surged to the presidency, rejected electoral defeat, and then faces historic legal consequences. So understanding the histories, it really helps us see beyond the headlines and how economic pressures, corruption, and social change, and charismatic figures shaped today's Brazil. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you're looking forward to more political cults because we got more coming at you.
We sure do. Make sure you, hang out with us on Twitch next week. We're going to meet on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. And if you guys want to talk to us about political cults in general, this one with Bolsonaro and Lula, and you want to talk about what's going on in Brazil, or if you know something about what's going on in Brazil that we didn't talk about, and if you want to even touch a little bit on the last one, we're up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're always open to discourse, especially if it gets all of our minds thinking in different ways and different perspectives. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Come try to change your mind, and
Yeah.
hopefully it can just be a productive, civil conversation, you know?
Yeah, because remember, we just won't deal with it if it sucks. Like
Yeah,
we don't give we're two kind of middle-aged ladies. We don't give a
yeah,
shit. Like we're not
yeah,
I'm not gonna deal with it, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Alrighty. Well,
All
that's
right. Well,
all.
thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.